everyone. I hope this finds each of you so very well. I'm speaking to you from my studio in West Orange, New Jersey, and I am so delighted to have this opportunity to interview Suresh Ramaswamy as a part of Grief and Rebirth Podcast 2023, Live Your Most Evolved Life Summit. Suresh's tremendously enlightening topic today, which is deeply relevant to our summit topic, Ascension and Beyond, and a natural next step to spiritual evolution, is Ascension Through Transcendental Light. Suresh is a highly gifted transformational teacher and visionary entrepreneur with a passion for igniting and catalyzing the transformation of humanity. He is the award-winning author of the book titled Just Be, Transform Your Life and Live as Infinity, which distills the most essential and highest wisdom of our infinite nature and reveals the means to achieve that realization. Just Be has been honored with over a dozen awards since its release, including the prestigious Nautilus Book Award and the International Soul Bridge Award. Enthusiastic readers from all over the world, and I must say that I'm one of them, have greeted Just Be with words such as among the best books on consciousness and spiritual awakening, and called it an important book for anyone serious about enlightenment. Suresh's background as an electrical engineer and technology executive brings an inspired yet pragmatic approach to elevating consciousness on our planet. He is held in high regard by people around the world, and his light-filled presence and guidance awakens them to their innermost essence. Even more importantly, beyond credentials and titles, accolades and achievements, Suresh considers himself a heart friend to all. He feels blessed to feel a connection and unity with everyone at levels where words fall short. I too am blessed to be able to talk with the clear embodiment of infinity that Suresh is about ascension through transcendental light as a part of Grief and Rebirth Podcast 2023, Live Your Most Evolved Life Summit. I'm especially eager to interview Suresh because he states that we can discover our way home to infinity through the magical pathway of light, that we can ascend to the highest states with grace and elegance through inspiration and guidance from light, and that because light represents the highest frequencies in creation, it can help us shift out of our trance-like state of confusion into clarity and brilliance. So now, Suresh will surely shed light on all of this for all of us. Hi, Suresh. A very warm, heartfelt welcome to Grief and Rebirth Podcast.
Thank you, Irene. It is such a delight to be with you and all the listeners and viewers. This topic about, evolution, living your most evolved life is so dear to my heart. So I'm thrilled to be here and be with you on this.
We couldn't have a more perfect person for this subject, for this topic, Suresh. And a lot of people are like, what is this evolving all about? What I would like to transform and change, but I have no clue. So this is going to help a lot of people to understand just where the planet is going. Because right now, a lot of people don't understand. They're going, look at all this chaos that's going on, which is often a sign that there's transformation going on, right?
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. In fact, if you look below the surface, on the surface, there's a lot of choppy waves. There's a lot of chaos. There's a lot of turbulence. And there's a lot of reasons to get unsettled. When we look at both collectively and personally, there's often things going on. But on the other hand, just as you were hinting at, if you start looking a little deeper, you find that there's actually a lot of good news. In fact, there is deep transformation happening. There is collective and individual evolution happening at a very accelerated rate. And this to me is actually exciting because suddenly you have a new lens to look at what's going on around you. And also you have a different, more exciting way to engage with life rather than how can I avoid the pain, the hurt, and the unpredictability and the uncertainty. Instead of that being the driver, we start looking at it much more as an exciting adventure because there are amazing possibilities just around the corner. And I think those who are tuning in here, I think you know more about evolution than you realize, because evolution is prompting you in many, many ways. And one of them is to turn to Irene and the things she shares, because there's so many fascinating insights that open us up.
Can you tell us a little bit of when you say there are wonderful possibilities, there are wonderful gifts, wonderful things that are happening, even though we see the chaos and the despair and the suffering that is presently swirling on the planet. Could you give us some examples of what we can look forward to or what you think is going on?
Yeah, great question. So what's happening is that the evolutionary process, essentially, it takes us in the direction of greater and greater truth, greater and greater realization of truth. So what happens along the way is anything that is less than truth is falling off. Sometimes with ease, sometimes with resistance. When there's resistance, there's a lot of turmoil. When there's ease, we feel that, wow, that was elegant and beautiful, like a flower blooming. We feel that, oh, that's wonderful. So where is it taking us? Well, it takes us towards greater wholeness, greater realization of truth, so that all aspects of our being are aligned with this ultimate truth. So when that starts happening within us and around us, well, outwardly, what you would see is life feels much more fulfilling, much more joyful, much more full of light, much more inspired, and much more connected, where we feel we're all in this together and we're going to a great destination. So that sense of enthusiasm, excitement fills us. So we feel very purpose-driven, we feel very fulfilled, and we feel very inspired.
Wow. So let's begin with this, because obviously to feel inspired and to feel this purpose and to feel all these things that you're talking about, we're not clinging, like you say, to that old mentality and that old way of thinking that is bringing all this chaos, right? That people are so resistant to this change. So let's talk about, so we're talking about actually evolving to be able to consciously enjoy what is to come. So let's talk about what exactly is ascension, Suresh, and why is this? So aside from hoping to look forward to better things, why is it important for each of us to ascend?
Yes. So ascension is the culmination, if you will, of a long process of evolution. So when you really start getting to a point, a soul goes through a series of experiences. And you and I have been through innumerable experiences. And every one of those experiences has refined us, shaped us, and has caused us to look deeper and deeper. At first, maybe unconsciously, but we tend to look for experiences which are more fulfilling, and we feel like those will somehow satisfy us. And after a long journey, you start reaching this conclusion that no experience is ultimately going to fulfill me. I have been looking in the wrong direction. And you start realizing there's something deeper and truer, which has not changed and which is my true nature. So this shift is very significant. So we're no longer scrambling, running around, trying to get just this beautiful set of experiences. And then we think that life is beautiful if I just have these experiences. In fact, we say, when we reach this point, that I'm going to now look for something which is deeper, truer, and beyond which transcends experience and is really looking at the experiencer. So me, who's the common factor in all these experiences, what about me? Maybe there's something in me that has the answers I'm looking for. So we start going in that direction, and ascension is this process of rapidly going deeper and deeper into our true self. And as we go deeper and deeper, what do we find? We go from a very finite aspect of ourselves, which we think that's me, to something which is more and more amazing, which is more and more hard to describe. And ultimately, we realize this is looking like infinity. So we realize our true nature is actually infinite. And ascension is this process of going from the finite to the infinite.
Would you say this is more of a connection with the fact that we have souls and that there is a greater plan? Would you say this is a consciousness that there is more than that surface joy or pleasure that we get from an experience, that it's more about going within and identifying with our soul and our purpose?
Yes, so that's absolutely very closely related, because our soul, our essence, is in touch with this ultimate truth. And in fact, we have been looking elsewhere. So when we start tuning into our own soul, our own essence, it starts taking us deeper and deeper into this ultimate truth.
And for people who are a little lost and say, well, I think I'd like to start a journey to get into my true essence, but how do I do that? Mm-hmm. Do people simply do it by reading about it, or do they get guides to do this? Or is it a particular pathway, or what would you say for people who want to awaken, mm-hmm. they want to ascend, mm-hmm. but they don't have a clue on how to go about it?
Yes. I think the good news is life has already been guiding you, whether you realize it or not. So in fact, some of us might be listening to this particular interview where we've had experienced some difficulties in life. Maybe we've experienced loss, and maybe we've had other challenging experiences. Those experiences on the surface, they may seem like very sudden and tragic in some ways and very challenging. But on the other hand, they are opening us up to something much, much bigger. And Irene, I know you talk about this in your podcast in so many ways, that there is an opportunity for tremendous expansion available through life experiences. So I would say life experiences is sort of the first phase, if you will, where we are being taught by life. And I think it's quite beautiful.
It is beautiful. And I agree with that. Would you say that one person has a life experience and they say, oh my God, this is a tragedy and I cannot move forward from this. And yes. Another person has a life experience. They go, what can I learn from this experience? Is that the difference of how thought leads, the way you process things leads to the concept of ascension by taking it as a lesson for your soul?
Yes, I think the orientation of learning from anything presented to us is very valuable. And I think the more evolved we get, the more we're looking at it that way. How can I learn? And we're able to more quickly get past the challenging aspect, which is an aspect of us which is resisting it in some way. And so that takes us, quite far until we become more and more conscious of the evolutionary journey. And in fact, we seek evolution, we seek growth, we seek transformation. So I feel that's where suddenly it actually gets more exciting rather than, oh my God, I have to go through this thing. It's suddenly you start seeing that you're reading books, listening to podcasts that actually are giving you information that will help you expand further without the pressure of more challenging experiences. I think that's very wise, actually. When a soul reaches that point, it's quite amazing. Now, growth is pleasant rather than previously, growth was mostly like, oh boy, it's fairly painful. Now, growth is exciting and more pleasant. And life also gets relatively less bumpy. because
Why
life
is
is,
that? Why does life get easier if you're when you're on this journey? How does that work? Because based on that, everyone listening is going to sign up to Ascend.
yes, absolutely. Exactly. Well, if you think about the universe as a whole, creation as a whole, everything within creation is evolving and helping and self-supporting the evolution. And we are part of that. When we are on board with that process, then what happens is we do not have to be fed challenging experiences because we already get the point, or we're ready to learn and without that experience. So the universe is very efficient. It's not just going to cook up experiences and situations just for the heck of it. It's all very purposeful and intelligent. So when the universe sees that you are actually opening up, expanding on your own, it's like, okay, this person gets the point. They get the point. So it's a matter of fine-tuning. It's a matter of fine-tuning at that point. And so that is a much more pleasant process. So life gets less bumpy. Now, I think that goes on for a while until we step up yet another level where we're not only on board with growth, but we are like, where is this going? I am looking for the highest, the ultimate truth. That's what I want. Well, when you are ready, when you're asking that question, you're ready to start looking at ascension and light. Because that's when light becomes very interesting, very relevant, very significant.
All right. So now, new question. So you speak about ascension and light. So explain to us, please, what is light? What is infinity? And how do we discover our way back home to infinity? And please explain what that is, Suresh, through what you call that magical pathway of light. So people are working on ascending. They're getting to a certain point. Now they're at that point. And this is another piece of it, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So absolutely.
You'll pardon the expression. Thank you for enlightening us about this.
So what is light? In fact, let me start with the word you just mentioned, enlightenment. If you think about it, light is right in there. Okay. So for many millennia, it has been known that light is a crucial part of these higher states of consciousness. And enlightenment is representing, you could say, the pinnacle of that, where one is full of light, you could say, to keep it simple. So right there are many clues. So let's take a look back at what is light. The beauty about light is we all have an understanding at some level of light, because even the ordinary light we see around us, guess what? Without this light around us, how would life look like? We couldn't see anything, we couldn't appreciate beauty, we couldn't have experiences. I mean, there's very little useful stuff you could do, right, without light, even in the physical life. Now, we're talking transcendental light, which is non-physical light, which is cosmic light, you could say. So you could think of light of higher and higher frequencies going beyond the electromagnetic spectrum, because ordinary light that we see is electromagnetic in nature. And this transcendental light is well beyond that.
Is that light from spirit, you're saying, from the cosmos?
Yes, you could say cosmic light, or you could say light of consciousness. All these are these higher dimensions of light. Absolutely, absolutely. And when the inner world becomes relevant, this light, just like ordinary light is very useful in this world, transcendental light is very significant in the inner world because it lights it up. And then suddenly it's like, oh, I see what's going on in these higher dimensions. So light is allowing us to see more clearly what exactly is going on within us. What is that path back to infinity? What is this infinity? Well, infinity is very simply the all that is, the totality of everything you can think of, put it all together. But remember, it's not just the physical universe, it includes non-physical. And non-physical universe is way more than the
Can you
physical.
give us a little description? Is non-physical universe synonymous with what people call God, or is it a different concept?
Okay. So if we look at, if we go beyond the physical reality and we look deeper, what we find is energy. So we find subtle energy. Now, quantum physics is starting to point at that anyway, but going beyond the even the quantum fields, we're talking about subtler and subtler forms of energy, which is like the underlying blueprint for the physical reality. Now, that itself is a big aha for most people, but guess what? You could keep going deeper and deeper, and beyond energy is the realms of light. So light is getting extremely subtle, extremely fine, extremely high vibration. And in fact, in the zone of light, if you keep going deeper and deeper and deeper, even within light, you have higher and higher octaves of light, higher dimensions, higher planes. You reach what I call the light of infinity, which is the highest, purest, most fundamental vibration in creation. So you can think of it as prior to creation, what was there? There was just pure consciousness. There was just pure consciousness, pure spirit, if you like. Then when creation was initiated, what was the first thing that came into being is this super high vibration of light, which I call the light of infinity. So that's the cosmology. Now, if you look at what is infinity, infinity is that pure consciousness from which everything arose, but it also includes the creation. Creation is also embraced and included in infinity. It's not like there's infinity here in one corner and over there is creation. It's all included. So that's why I say infinity is the totality of it, the all there, the complete inclusion of all aspects of physical and non-physical reality and beyond.
Wow. And so this magical pathway of light?
Okay.
Fill in that blank.
Yes. So now we come to, here we are, and we may probably think of ourselves as I'm a human being, I'm having a human life, I'm having human experiences, and all this sounds amazing. How do I get there? Well, light is this very elegant and magical pathway. So here's a picture that might help. So let's say on one side, we have the human being having the human experiences. On the other side is this amazing infinity that we hear of. And we're wondering, how do I get there? So imagine a bridge. The bridge goes from the finite to the infinite, from the human to the divine, from what looks very small and limited to something that is unlimited. So this bridge is light. This bridge is light. So from a human level, if we're wondering, how do I, work with this? How do I engage with this? And we could talk more about this. But the fundamental thing is when the human being reaches a point where their heart is open, it is truly soft and receptive, and it calls forth for this revelation of something much higher. It doesn't know what it is. And we're not expected to know, by the way. We call forth for something deeper, truer, higher. Then light reaches us. Light reaches us. That heart that is looking for it, that is the most important ingredient, not all-encompassing knowledge. We do not need to know anything. We need to have the heart. And light reaches us where we are, and it picks us up and carries us to higher and higher and higher frequencies. This is the ascension, the journey of ascension, all the way to the super high frequencies, the light of infinity. At that point, we are starting to get to the other end of the bridge, which is infinity itself. So this is sort of the overall what's going on with light. And it's a beautiful and magical pathway because light brings with it right from day one blessings that are deeply satisfying.
Such as?
we struggle so much as human beings. We try to find scraps here and there we're looking for love, we're looking for joy, we're looking for fulfillment, but it's so hard to find it. We find a little bit here and there, we get excited. But when light shows up, it's bringing with it the love from the source of all love. It's bringing fulfillment and joy from the source. When you get that, you're like, okay, this is what I've been looking for. So there's no question of, is this the right thing? Light feeds you from within. And then when you feel that, you're like, more, please. I'm ready to go deeper. So that's a little bit about the journey of light.
I want to ask you also, when a person is on this journey and they come to the end of this physical life,
yes,
having been on this journey, does that change what happens when they transition to the other side? Because I know there are planes of existence, right?
Yes. So there's a lot that could be said about that. And in my book, I do have a chapter about dying and the dying process, which I think is very important for everybody to know. So when a person, let's say of a more ordinary level of consciousness, transitions, they suddenly are released from the grip of physical reality. And it certainly feels like you're more relaxed, expanded, and freer, everybody. And then you start perceiving energy and light, and you start seeing these dimensions. And suddenly it's like, wow, all these days, I didn't know all this stuff. I was so busy with my work and family and etc. It's really feels like great news. And you really want to tell people, back home, so to speak, that there's good stuff here. Don't be scared of that.
Wake up. You can look forward to some really good stuff if you wake up.
Right. And the even better news is we don't even have to wait till we die, actually. We can wake up now to all these higher dimensions. And so I think all these are revealed in time if somebody transitions. But I think for us, it's the more you start looking within with practices like meditation, you will start seeing all this within yourself. Now, if you have already gone through some or all of this ascension process, then it's a little different when you die, because these things are being revealed and you're already there. It's nothing new. You're like, yes. So when that happens, the ordinary person actually, their consciousness rises when they transition, and it stops at a certain point. It's as much as they can handle, as much as they are able to hold. And then they continue their evolutionary journey at that level. Whereas if you've already gone pretty far, you can keep going higher and higher and higher. In fact, in theory, you can go all the way to infinity when you transition. And then you are a free being. You are free forever. I mean, that is just spectacular. And that is actually the destiny of each and every one of us in a matter of time.
So I have another question for you. I'm having such a good time talking to you, Suresh. So once you hit that infinity,
yes,
and you don't need to come back to learn more lessons,
yes,
do you turn your energy to helping other people and becoming the light for other people? Is that how it works?
Yes. So, of course, that is a very exalted state when one actually merges with infinity, becomes one with infinity. And at that point, one doesn't have an individual agenda per se. You are one with everything. And in many cases, there is an inspiration to come back and help beings who are still struggling. And that could be on any plane of existence, not just physical, because there are beings on the energy plane, there are beings on the light plane. They too are evolving. So depending on a variety of things, including, of course, the guidance of highly evolved beings, there's a good chance that such a being will come back and help out in some way.
So that proves the point supports the point that I've often heard, that sometimes do not take people at face value, because sometimes that supposed janitor in a building is a light being who's there to help those children or help that system or whatever that is.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes. There are innumerable ways in which such help is coming through into our plane. So we don't have to think that only somebody who's a spiritual teacher is the one who is helping. In fact, we may be surprised, and some of these people may not be even known. They may look very ordinary. In fact, a fully embodied being of very high consciousness, they can look very ordinary, actually.
Yeah, and be an inspiration, and people go, wow, and not an accident that they are who they are in this situation. So now you're speaking to these higher states that we go towards. And you're saying we can ascend to them with grace and elegance. I love your choice of words, through inspiration and guidance from light. So tell us about, how do we ascend with grace and elegance?
Yes. Okay.
Instead of with chaos.
Yeah, we've all had enough of the other alternative. Yes. Just one point to the previous topic. So the help we have from higher beings is not only showing up on the human plane, but clearly there's beings on higher planes who are also helping in significant ways. Sometimes we may or may not realize it. I would say most of the time we don't realize it, because they are not looking for accolades and recognition. They are silently helping us. But the reason I'm mentioning it is, if we're open to that and we are grateful for that, it really enhances the impact of that help, because there's a stream of blessings. It's just incredible. In fact, when you start feeling these stream of blessings, you just want to cry, because it's so beautiful and pure love. It's coming from pure love. So I want us to be open to that. Even things we can't see, we can't hear, does not matter. It's still there. You feel it. So I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you for interjecting that. And thank you very much for that. And I would imagine that has to do with having faith that health is on the way, and that you are, when you're in a situation in life, just let me be sensitive to the signs that I'm getting, to the help I'm getting in a certain way. And there are sometimes very subtle signs. So you have to be very conscious and aware to pick them up, right?
Yes. So on that, I would say, indeed, be open to all kinds of synchronicities and signs. But for the advanced, somebody out there who's truly advanced, I would say, even when there isn't a single sign that you can pick up on, something is happening. Deep down, there is something beautiful unfolding, and there's a lot of blessings coming forth. Even though you don't see one shred of evidence, does not matter. It really, I feel, when you reach that level, you've really gotten pretty close to truth, because truth is not about physical evidence of every little thing. The ultimate truth is ineffable, right? It's not perceivable by the senses.
So would you say that the 3D is the physical truth that people need to look at that, and where we're ascending to that higher vibration is what you're talking about now, right? That higher form of truth.
Yes. So exactly. So in the physical world, we have physical experiences. As you step into the non-physical, as you step into the energy planes, you still have subtle experiences with your subtle senses, because we have actually, subtle sight, subtle hearing, subtle vision, etc. So all that helps us to pick up subtler planes. And you go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And if you wonder what happens when you're stepping into the highest planes of light, now actually it's no longer sensory. It's actually direct knowing. If you think about what is the highest form of intuition, it's direct knowing with no other supporting evidence. You just know it. That's how you know the deepest truth. It's a direct knowing, and you don't have to justify, validate it with anybody else. You just know. That's true intuition. So as you get to these higher planes, that becomes more natural and more, I would say, necessary.
Okay, so now we get to, and thank you so much for that. This is so informative and so helpful. So now we get to the comment, the words grace and elegance. Yes. So talk to us about that, because now we're ascending to those higher states.
Yes.
And you talk, but some people don't do it with such grace and elegance. What is the difference? How can we?
Yeah. Okay. Absolutely. Let's go there. So the typical human wiring inside, if you look at it, what do we like? We like comfort, we like convenience, we like predictability. We want to know, and these are the things we're sold on. And so anything which is not that is relatively risky and dangerous in our minds. If you start looking at higher dimensions, higher planes of consciousness and light, these are necessarily things which cannot be clearly described, which will feel very like uncertain. It'll take us well beyond our comfort zone. So what do we feel? We feel, whoa, I don't know. This looks scary to me.
Sounds like the skeptics of the world. I'm not going there. That doesn't feel so good to me. I'm not believing that. It's baloney.
Right. There are the obvious skeptics, but even those of us who are actually interested in this, when we go to higher planes of consciousness, we reach a point where we feel like, wait a minute, so hold it right there. I'm feeling a little scared.
I've gone about as far as I can go.
Yes. So even though it's feeling pretty good, we feel like this is as far as I want to go right now. And that is us saying that I'm feeling a little shaky and disoriented, and because I can't figure out these higher things. So if I can't figure it out, I'm going to hold back. That's the big mistake we make. We didn't even realize that we are resisting something deeper and truer. We didn't even realize that. Because when we talk, we say, oh, I want that. I want the ultimate. But when we actually start going there, we feel this resistance coming up. We feel like, good enough. This is good enough at some point. So in other words, human beings, we actually, without knowing it, we have several levels of unconscious resistance built into us, even when we say we want something awesome. So this resistance becomes obvious when you start expanding and dissolving into infinity. Guess what? In theory, dissolving into infinity, oh, sounds great, sign me up. When you actually start dissolving into infinity, you will start feeling like I am disintegrating, dissolving, dying. Because no longer can I, maintain this finite entity identification that I had.
It's actually the part of you that's finite is dying, right?
Yeah, the part of you that is identified with the finite is dying. The finite will still be there. Don't worry, your body is not going to collapse or something.
The dramas around you will still be there.
It'll all be there. And it's not like your body is going to stop breathing and stop functioning. But your identification that I am this person, this body with this history, that does start dissolving. So you start dissolving into something undefined. That's a scary thought when you actually start going there. So what do? We resist. So that's the big reason why it's a slow process that is often, bumpy.
Would you say some of that resistance comes from probably trauma that we've had and blockages that we have that need to be healed so that we're freer and freer and freer, that they are no longer stopping us?
Yes. So that's definitely part of the answer. The experiences we've had, we've actually done remarkably well because we kept adapting. We kept adapting and changing. That's why we are where we are. We've adapted a lot. Unfortunately, some of those adaptations, they were very appropriate. When something happened 25 years back, that was appropriate to do something or act a certain way. But what happens is we cling to those adaptations, and those adaptations become limiting patterns later on. So a time comes when we have to release that. So there's a process of healing, which is very important. So if somebody has just gone through trauma, I would tell them to focus on the healing, because we have to restore this sense of stability and wholeness after trauma. But after some degree of healing has happened, we are ready for now releasing even further. Okay. That's why a trauma can become a blessing, actually. If we really we can really take off after trauma. And I know, Irene, your own story attests to that. And so many people you've spoken to, you really took off. So that's because we said, I'm going to drop resistance in a big way, And that's when the grace and elegance comes in, because light, that's what it wants us, but it's not going to force us. Okay. These higher aspects of our being, they are very patient. They're very gentle. They're very gracious. So if we say, I need 300 more years to deal with this, no problem. Take your time. Okay.
Because really 300 years seems very long in the physical plane, but according and for infinity, there's really no timing, right?
There's no problem at all. And the whole process I'm talking about with ascension, it can never be coerced in any way. It has to be because that being is really wanting that.
It's sort of it's a real correlation between healing and letting go of your pain and suffering, and healing whatever is blocking you, to really getting to a point where you can really let go.
Yes.
To ascend, which shifts us from that confusion, right? The chaos and the confusion, to that clarity and brilliance that you talk about. Because once you finally ascend, you see more of the big picture. Right. I think it's about really understanding and seeing more and more of the big picture, not just what the smaller print is right in front of you.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Yes.
So, Suresh, this has been so wonderful. So, and I would really, and if you want to add anything else, please do. But I know you also have a special free gift you're offering to the members of our audience today called Light Emanation Meditation. And I also know that you have a very special gift right now for all of us. So take it away, Suresh. Tell us more.
Yes. So some of the things I've been talking about, if you're wanting to, first of all, go deeper into that, and you're like, tell me more. I want to know more about what you just said. Well, that's why I've written a book, Just Be. So you're welcome to.
There it is, everyone. It's
take a look at that. There's lots of stuff in there, including practices. So there's actually a couple of practices. There's many practices in the book, but there's a couple that I really recommend as daily practices. Those are called Awakening Infinite Radiance and River of Light. I'm mentioning because these are actual tools that you can use to ascend. So it's not just a matter of, oh, here's this cool thing, good luck. No, there's lots of tools and resources available to you to follow up if this resonates for you.
Are these meditations that you have?
Yes. So those two I mentioned are meditations, and they are specific practices, techniques.
Say them again so everyone gets them. And can they find them on your website?
They are in the book. And yes, they're also mentioned on the website. So the first one is Awakening Infinite Radiance, or the acronym is AIR, AIR. And then the second one is River of Light, River of Light. So River of Light is this flow of light that connects you to the source. So that's the actual technique. So definitely look that up if that intrigues you. Now, about the gift, the free gift is light emanation. So as you start working with light, what happens? Well, firstly, you realize there's this thing called light. I want to connect with it. I'm going to engage with it. And you start doing that. And you feel like, I'm not sure I know what I'm doing. Perfect. That's how it is. Okay. Nobody knows what the heck they're doing. Just go ahead and do it. And you start, light itself will reach out to you. The two key ingredients are approach it with your heart and let go of limiting ideas. If you bring these two to the table, I can assure you that light will respond in a big way to you. So when light starts responding, you start feeling light more and more within your being, within your life. You feel this tremendous sense of enthusiasm, inspiration, upliftment. Furthermore, light starts filling you so much that at some point you feel like, boy, I would sure like to share this light. Because people out there need light. Every day you hear about all kinds of things happening. How can I help them? By sharing light, by radiating light, by emanating light. So light emanation is this technique of radiating light. So the free gift being offered to you is how to do this, how to work with light, how to let light flow into you and out of you to the world.
That's beautiful.
So that's the meditation, the guided meditation that I'm offering you, and please check it out. Keep in mind, as we help other people, turns out the light is flowing through us. So you are already helped, like in a big way, yourself. As these things work, you benefit from it. Everybody benefits from it.
Well, I think that once you're filled with light, you are passing it forward to others.
Yes.
Right. So
exactly.
that's part of the good things happening on the planet. That more and more of us, as we become, as we ascend and we become evolved.
Yes.
It's catchy. Other people want to also. They're like, what is happening here? And they also want to take part in that. And now you have more and more people who are becoming conscious and more enlightened and changing the way they behave, changing their choices.
Exactly. That's a great point, because when you start looking at the planet, this is how I see the planet. We have actually a very important role to play. So we don't want to feel like I have to go through this journey and someday I'll become enlightened. This process is going to turn us into walking infinite beings of light on the planet. So when you look at the planet, you start seeing these lights on the planet as each one of us comes on board, so to speak, and starts engaging with light. We light ourselves up. Guess what? When you light yourself up, that light is helping so many just naturally, right? And there is a grid of light that we are feeding into. There's the collective consciousness is being lifted up. So don't feel like you've got to run around all over the planet doing things. Simply by being, you can dramatically change the consciousness of the planet. So that's how I look at it right now and how things unfold in the years ahead.
I want to ask you one other question, Suresh. For people who say they're part of a family or part of a family system that are very much caught in the 3D mentality, the physical mentality, they don't buy it. This is it. Yes. And now you are consciously evolving and you're changing. Yes. Do you have any? So sometimes those people, you walk into a room and they're blinded by your light and they resist your light and they resent your light. And now you're getting blowback because they would like to pull you back into their older system. Do you have any advice for how to handle that? Do you simply lovingly detach from those people, or how do people handle that?
Yes, it's a very important question. Firstly, I would say you can almost expect that. So don't feel like something has gone wrong. You are the bright light in the room. So expect that there'll be other people who are going to, look at you and eventually try to catch up with you.
Or resent you and pull you back.
Initially, their reaction might be one of resistance. And that resistance might take many different forms. Including maybe judging you or saying things that make you feel bad. Now, that's bound to happen to some degree. And I would say, firstly, you have to stay connected with the light and draw your positive energy from the light. So from human beings, don't expect a whole lot, okay? Realize that they are actually going through a process. And whatever you see in front of you today is simply where they are in the process. Believe me, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, they would have moved on and they would be like, I would never say things like that.
Right. But so don't judge them. They're on their path.
They're on their path.
Whatever that is.
Exactly. So I know it takes a lot. It's not easy to do this, but the more you stay connected with light and the more you radiate light, the less you're going to be actually trapped with the energies they may be putting out. So you can actually stay relatively in the light. Now, things that it brings up in you, don't just assume it's them, okay? Sometimes they can reveal within us, part of us is in the light and part of us is not quite there. So this is the process of what I call integration. So they may be pointing out to you areas which still need development. And usually that is kind of painful if somebody points that out to us. So don't feel like, don't get into who's right and who's wrong. That's not what we're about. But anything that is presented to you, see if there's anything there that you need to work on. And you can do that work in your own privacy. You don't need to get into any kind of
So maybe it brings up something that still needs healing.
Absolutely.
In your life, right?
Absolutely. And I would say, that is the case for quite a long time, that there's parts of us which are still needing some attention, some transformation, some more light. So they're pointing at us that eventually what happens is you feel very, very neutral and non-judgmental, which means you've done a lot of work. So you can hear some pretty harsh words being said, some what seems very disharmonious or inharmonious, and it does not disturb you. It does not disturb you. It does not throw you off. So that is actually showing you that you've done well. If you don't feel like you're there yet, keep working on it. Don't turn it into judgment. Don't turn it into divisiveness and separateness, because that is the very opposite of what we're trying to do. We're trying to unify and harmonize things.
And don't judge yourself either.
Yes, don't judge yourself either. I mean, absolutely. You too deserve tremendous love, kindness, patience. Don't feel like you ought to be somewhere and you're not there. No, you are perfectly where you are. And your infinite nature, by the way, is never compromised. No matter where you are in the journey, your infinite nature is always your infinite nature. So you can take refuge in that. You can feel like, yeah, my mind is confused, but my infinite nature is not. It's established. It's true. It's eternal.
Right. And this is just part of my journey, and I'm learning as much as I can from it.
Yes.
So I know you have another goodie for us.
Yes. So everything we've been talking about, by the way, has not just been an intellectual exploration. This is actually meant to activate within you the very process of ascension we're talking about. So everything we've talked about, if you want, you can go back and listen to it, keeping that in mind, that these words are intended to be activations. And now we're going to spend a few minutes going right into it so that we leave nothing to interpretation and doubt. So let's do a few minutes meditation where we actually go into the depths of the highest frequencies of light. So if you like, you could just close your eyes, take a moment to relax and settle in. From the depths of your being, in your own words, call upon light. Call upon this light of infinity for healing, transformation, awakening, realization, liberation, enlightenment, freedom at the highest levels, in whatever words that resonate for you. And as we call upon light, light responds and starts flooding our being, flooding our light body, flooding our energy body, and flooding our physical body, every cell, every tissue, every muscle, every organ, every thought, every emotion, every aspect of our being. You can feel the light gently at first, but then increasingly stronger, more powerful. All you have to do is relax and receive. Now imagine this column of light. A column of light passing through you, vertical column, and this column is golden white light. The top of this column extends all the way to infinity. Passes through you, and then it extends all the way to infinity below you. And there you are, ensconced in this column of light. Allow this light to completely permeate you in every way. And as the light permeates you, notice how it's feeling. Notice how it's clearing everything, clearing anything that's impeding your evolution, impeding your progress, impeding your expansion of consciousness. Notice how your consciousness is expanding right now. Allow yourself to give yourself to the light, to yield to the light. And as you do so, the ascension process within you is initiated, activated, and greatly accelerated. For those who really want it, for those who are receptive, from this moment on, your being is going to start moving towards infinity at a greater pace than ever before. And as it does so, your life will unfold in beautiful and magical ways as it reflects the infinity of your true nature. So with that, I wish everybody a most wonderful journey back home, the home we are all looking for, the home that is within us. And even as we conclude this meditation, you can feel the influx of light, electrifying, energizing, everything within you. So enjoy that process and may it unfold with grace and elegance. You can gently open your eyes whenever you feel ready.
Can you think of a better New Year's gift for everyone than to start their new year with this meditation? Thank you so much, Suresh.
Thank you, Irene, and thank you everybody for tuning in. It's been a real treat, real delight to share about light with all of you. And again, what can I say? Light is, it exceed your highest expectations.
Speaking of light, you are a light. Thank you for this incredibly enlightening interview that has illuminated our Live Your Most Evolved Life Summit for the topic of ascension and beyond. Suresh, you have gifted us with profound awareness of ascension through transcendental light. And we now know what that is. And thank you so much by sharing how light helps us to heal, transform, and ascend to the highest frequencies in creation so that we too can shift from confusion to clarity and brilliance. Thank you so much from my heart. Again and again, thank you. And everyone, please be sure to check out the other incredible clips today about ascension and beyond, and check your inbox tomorrow for new insightful conversations that will be coming your way about rebirth and new beginnings. And remember, all the interviews and segments offered each day on Live Your Most Evolved Life Summit will be complimentary for 24 hours. So if you want to be able to watch them all forever, would you not want Suresh to be in your healing arsenal forever? Grab the All Access Pass for only $75 at ireneweinberg.com/Summit Pass 2022. This price will go up to $99 at the end of the summit. And so we recommend that you grab it now and to save. And the most important thing is that you grab it now to save it, because this interview has probably started you on an amazing path in your life that is going to bring you many blessings. And I couldn't be more grateful for it, and grateful for all of you listening to this podcast, and grateful for you, Suresh, as showing us the way.
Thank you.
As I like to say, to be continued. Many blessings.
Thank you.
And bye for now.